All right. Today is probably gonna be a short stream, but we'll try to do something. Whew. So where did I leave off? We are undoing all of this, or rather commenting it out. I do this so it's easier to tell which bracket belongs to where, because they're not... It's not getting colored in C#. I wish it did. It's not like super useful, but I do feel like it is quite useful. Apparently we have a bracket issue somewhere. So should this not be public? It should just be like this. You have to access it through access. Yeah, that's not set up there, but that should be like that. And then here, it data module should be like this. Like that. That's why. And then up here, this should be dot front. There. So now that's correct. That's where that error was. And we get rid of these spells. And we get rid of on hit. Oh, that doesn't work. You have to do that. There. So this is now a func lot object database dot access. That's what that's called. And then we get that. But then what we're trying to get here if object access does not equal null, And then let's see. Unit placement data. So here we're trying to get object database. Unit placement data is now core data. So that needs to be current placement data index equals unit key. That's fine. But this should be object access dot invoke dot core data dot invoke. I think that's going to generate a bunch of errors, but I like that. I like an index being nullable, because that way you can tell if there's an index or not. And it means that you don't have to sacrifice 0, 0, 0 or 0 as an index. You also don't have to deal with like -1 and shit like that. It just saves a lot of effort. Alright, that's 1 down, 96 to go. LOT databases unit data. What are we doing here? We're initiating the object editor, the editor object browser window. So this is gonna need a rework. So here we're just iterating through the databases. But how does a dictionary work when it comes to iterating through it? Can you iterate through by just using a normal for loop? Or does it have to be for each? I think it's fine if it's for each. Here I'm doing object pooling. Right. And then we'll do something like this again. I'm just gonna call this U. This is too long. But this looks wrong. Data key should probably be different here. And the text here, we're trying to get the I dot value dot invoke dot static data dot object name. Here we're doing resources dot load, right, and the data key should be I dot key, and data key should be changed to be a vector 3, I think. Yeah. So that's now correct. This comment out. Hello, Elbine. Yeah, have a good night's rest, dude. And this is where we need the data key to be correct. This should be vector3 int. Object to place equals LOT object database dot objects Dot try get value. And I really wish there was another way. I'll be right back. All right. This, you can't do this. You have to do... Is it possible to do that? To declare it in here? That next. 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 Combat module database. Wait, what? Something is very wrong here. This is why I write end of, end of, end of. I don't have any other choice here. We're gonna have to uncomment everything. only going to keep barrier. There. Object Combat Module Database. Yes. She should only have barrier. For the time being. And Spearman does not get any actions right now. That's it. And here I'm not sure if a barrier should have a combat module. I kind of don't think so. But some things might have combat modules. But right now, this is all just copy-pasted stuff from data. But this is combat module. Alright, that's done. 38 errors left. Alright, so what's going on here? This is editor object placement tool. So now we have object to place, which is core data, data module dot value. because I have made it nullable. Mouse controller. If unit placement data dot combat module and faction equals 0. Then we are setting main controller dot unit placement data. No. And then combat unit selection window set selected by index. But this is a little tricky, because here, the combat unit selection window this needs to be set to no selection, because right now it's just being set to nothing. I don't even know where this is being set. What is this? Load object. Ooh. Do I have to fix that to fix this? I wonder if my saves are gonna be bricked. Or tile data vector dot object length. If database's unit data dot count is greater than tile data vector dot object dot value dot object index. It's greater than. Right. This is less confusing. I hate when I do that, where it's like, I get an index and then I check if it's like within the range of the collection, and I put the collection count first, because then it's like, it makes it feel like I'm checking to make sure that the count is like against something, versus if the index is on the left, we're checking if the index is, you know, it makes the brain feel weird. But here we are checking to see if the index exists within the data collection. But that's not what we need to do. We need to say this is super annoying. Like ultra turbo annoying. I might disable this for the moment. Because it's designed in a way where the value is saved as a short. The object value is a short, but it should be a vector 3 int. And what that means is that when I save it as a short and I try to load, I then don't really have an index. Because we're loading an object, but the object only contains a short index, which means I can't fetch it from the database using the index, because the index is for a list and not for a dictionary. Now the real question is, where do I have flat buffers? I actually don't know where they are. Tile data vector. I don't know exactly where I have the flat buffers. Searching. No, that's not it. It might, I think it's named something else, so I'm not finding it. Let's try searching D again for flat buffer. Google flat buffers.dll. That's not what we need either. In every document or in everything. What is... Can't we see what it's called here? Because it has like a base name. Tile data vector. It's called LOT. But that's a really shitty thing to search. I'm gonna find everything. Parking lot. Yeah, I'm finding like 100 million files now. But it might be like lot.txt or some shit. Thing be. My biggest fear is that I put it in my downloads folder and I just ran it from there. LOT, tile data vector. There it is. That's automatically generated. That is an FBS file. Right, I did find them. But I'm gonna move it over to correct folder or the correct drive. I scatter things when it comes to programming way too much. I put like, there's like a repo folder here, there's a programming folder there, there's a Git folder there, and it should all just be in one place. There, so we got Git there. Alright, next up. Oh, I need to restore settings. App data. Go to my backed up app data. No. Notepad++ there. I love that windows in Windows no longer have a border. So when you have like one window, if you're using dark mode and you have one window atop of another window, you can't tell where the window ends and the next window begins. So when you're trying to like click and drag something, it just sucks balls. I love that. That's great. Big fan. Is there a Notepad++ local low? No. Local Notepad++. There. Settings restored. Now what? Let's see. File data vector. Yep. Here. Object data. This here, object index, I'm saving it as an int16, which I think this is way over optimizing, but it's also fine. But what we need here is we actually need this. I do not know if you can have... No, you can't. You can't have XYZ. Like you can't save a like a vector 3. It only allows for indices and shit. Here we're saving bytes. I feel like a lot of this is gonna have to change because it's overly pre-optimized, and we're not actually gonna save that one. All right, so Google flat buffers. Don't I have a flat buffers in Unity? Site can't be reached. Based. All right. I've taken down their website. So now I have to... Wonder if that's a typo. Anyway. It was this that needed changing here. Oh, this is so tedious. That was this one that I was looking at. What is the correct syntax? Might just be like that. When encountering include. That's not what it means. So we actually need to say files should be. I'm gonna type, let's see, LOT and generated LOT. Here's the thing, like it's a backslash or forward slash or whatever, like I don't know. So we're gonna put all of these in LOTFPS, which is then gonna be LOTFPS file.fps. And I guess we can run that. See what happens. System cannot find the path specified. Oh. But this is because it's in 2 lines. That's not something you can do. Unable to load file. What? No, it works, yeah. Okay, so this needs to be just generated. So where has that been writing? Like, slash generated? Where is that? What is that? It's just been fucking writing somewhere. Okay, it went to the base of D colon, so delete that. Okay, so this is correct. And then we can provide multiple files, but I don't know what that means. Root type, tile matrix. Root type, tile data. I was just wanted to check if there were any includes, but doesn't seem like it. So how do you add multiple files? Just do another one? Like that? Missing input files. Yeah, I don't get it. So poorly documented, dude. Like, is this an actual thing? You do ... No. Missing input files. If I delete this. Missing input files. Missing input files. Why doesn't it work now? Oh. Wait, what? This works. So... What? Oh. Oh, I see. No. No? What? I'm so confused. It literally just worked. So how can it not work now? Like, I did that. Now it complains. Specify a generator. Then we add a generator. Unable to load file. Because it needs a dot there. And it needs a dot there. And now it worked. So, like, am I retarded? Why did it stop working? Right? And then how do we get it to do multiple files? Is it because of that? Is that it? Yes. It's because there's this forward slash there. Or backslash. That means it's trying to find a file called nothing. And now we're generating everything. Okay. So what we need is... to list everything here now. File matrix. File type vector .fps. Don't know why it's called .fps when it can clearly read JSON files and they're like the same thing. But, you know, whatever. Now it generates everything. All right. Am I not using everything? I might not be using all of these. Like tile type vector, am I not using this? Either way, this is going to break my files, I think. Because this is not backwards compatible. So... if you change how these work, it'll probably break things. That's the number one issue with this save system. But... it is convertible. You can like... You can load in the old version, and then you can write code to save it to the new version, right? So you can still load the old data, but you need to be able to save to the new version. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to do that later, 100%. But not now, because whatever thing we have saved at the moment is just trash, so it doesn't matter. But it will be necessary later because we need to have backwards compatibility. We need to be able to alter how the save files work, in case we need to add something, change something, remove something. And old save data can't break because of it. So the code is basically gonna need the ability to load any old version. which also means that the files need to designate which version they belong to. But the question here is, what should the versioning look like? Major, minor. What do you call it? Something like that. I want to call this patch or something. These should be int. What is an int 16? Int 16. That's a value up to 32,700. Just make them 32. Who cares? Like that. That way we can version this. I am gonna call them primary, secondary. No. There's just no good word. Like, a major patch, a minor patch. This is why I like to call it patch, because this feels more like a patch. But it's like a major patch, minor patch makes sense, but then you say like a patch or like a hotfix patch is fine. But not really the word. Sure, let's call it that. Hotfix. I'm looking at bowl cuts. This is, yeah. This is unfortunate, because this is tedious, annoying work. So, this now has to be overwritten, because right here, this is now trying to get the index from the flat buffer. So now that I've generated it, I have to overwrite everything. Where do they exist? I think they're in like scripts LOT or something. There. Yeah. We need to overwrite all of these. Then we go back here. Now that's an error. So this is now obj index x. This is now completely incorrect. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna say this is a 4, so we're gonna say obj data temp data, and we're gonna say it is nullable. No, it isn't. I mean, it is here, so it should maybe be nullable here too. Then we're gonna say temp data equals file data vector dot obj I dot value, and then we're gonna say bool success equals LOT object database dot objects dot try get value new vector 3 int temp data dot value dot obj index x. Obj index y, obj index z. Out. Func. LOT object database dot access. Obj access. I'm just gonna call it access. There, and then here we're gonna say if success and access does not equal null, then we're gonna say LOT object list add LOT object position core data. So the position is right, but here we need the core data. So that's gonna be access dot invoke dot core data dot invoke. Yes. So I guess that's fixed. Except that my save files are now broken. Which is okay, because they contained nothing. Except like 2 houses. This has to wait. Well, we have to fix this before I can test anything else, but this still has to wait. This is basically the entire animation system needs to be kind of fixed. Which is unfortunate. And now we have to deal with animation states. I'm not sure how I want to handle it. Because it's like this, right? So the animator or the animation module is meant to handle all the animations. It's meant to be like a state machine, right? But the state machine still needs information. So if it's gonna play like a death animation, when does it do that? Does it read HP or whatever? And that's where, like, I think I know how things need to be, and I think it's basically it's just gonna be like an integer. Like one integer in the base object that's gonna say it's gonna tell us which state we're in, and it's gonna be an integer because I can use an enumerator, which I will, to say that like which state are we in should be enumerated. And that should be like animation state dot death. That's gonna be like a 3 maybe, and that means that when the animation module reads a 3 on the integer, that means that we're taking damage. But that only makes sense to a degree, because what if maybe it's fine, because it's like it can't only be that either. We also have to track like what other states we're in. Because like when you're in combat and you're being attacked, you're still like in combat. And if you take damage, then we can't just be like, yeah, we're taking damage, and then what? Like, what is it gonna change into after that? So it still has to be like a combination of a lot of variables. And I think at the end of the day, it's just gonna have to be like a list of booleans, like booleans and integers. And they're all gonna say different things, like, is the character dead? Did the character die? Is the character taking damage? It's gonna be a bit complicated, I think. Because it's gonna be like, if the character is moving to the right, then it depends on if it's in combat state, because then there's gonna be a different walking animation. And that's why I also wonder if maybe I shouldn't have animation states like this. And it should just be like kill, dead equals true. And then the animator is going to be like, oh, this character is dead. And then it checks, am I currently in death state? Yes, no. If you are, then we play the death intro, or we play the death animation and then put them in the death idle state. So I feel like I shouldn't be doing this whole animation state thing. We're gonna use booleans, dead equals true. And then up here, for example, we have this whole here we're applying damage, right? And then we need, like here, I'm checking for magic barriers and shit. Animation state hurt. That should be like a boolean that says damage taken, which I think we have already. Yeah. We've already kind of changed this. Right here I'm checking if it's like a magic barrier or a physical barrier. But in almost all cases it's just gonna be a physical barrier against magic 2. We're not gonna do that, and damage taken is a little bit complicated too. I wonder if damage taken should be a nullable struct that contains the damage taken and the hit shake or something like that, instead of it being a boolean, because that way the issue here is the idea is that when you take damage, I set the character to be damage taken equals true, and then the animator will read that and adjust accordingly. And then on the next frame, damage taken is set to false again. And hopefully that can never be missed. I don't see why it would like be missed or skipped or anything like that. I don't really understand how code can miss things. That's something I genuinely kind of don't understand. I'll be honest. Like in the Unity animation system, you can set events, and if you set an event at a certain frame, it can skip the activation of it, which is like, I genuinely don't understand how that works. Like, how can that possibly be true? How can that possibly happen? How can something not happen? The code has to be written in a way where things are like requested and like suggested, instead of actually being done, in order to like avoid stalling or something like that. But I don't know, it just feels weird. Maybe it's time to clean my keyboard. A little nasty. But basically, all we need to do here there, now we have barrier instead of mag or fist barrier, and then we're gonna just say if damage type equals, no, if current barrier is less than modified damage, then damage taken is true. And then that file is fixed. And then here's a real issue though. Well, this isn't an issue either. This should just not be there. I'm just waiting for it to load like 100 errors. 0 error? Okay. I can assure you that it does not work properly, but 0 error is good. We're gonna do a shorter day today, so it's almost time to stop. I felt fine pushing a little bit after surgery, but yesterday I felt like I had pushed too much with both streaming games and streaming work. Immediate error. Could not find resources tilesets tile type dot bytes. Why would this have changed? Why is it throwing an error for something like that? I kind of like remember deleting something here. Let's go and check some backups. Yeah, tile type dot bytes. What the fuck is a tile type dot bytes? Watch as this doesn't work. What? It worked. No error even. Index was outside of the bounds of the array. Button container dot activate. And that's an activate that is overridden. So I have no clue. Editor file object button. Yeah. Create lot.create animation. Why is it showing me this? Like, it's clearly not there. So button container dot activate, and button container is an editor window. But that editor window Should be object browser window, right? So we're doing activate like in here. I think. So object pool.count if win element equals set editor tool. We're getting the data key. We're not getting any. I mean, actually, am I? No. So it didn't really, there wasn't really an error. And then here, level editor object to place. Activate. Gets access here. Get core, get animation module. Init. LOT animation.create animation. So that's where the error is. Like, RIA east west. We're in the animation module database, and we're checking RIA here. And it's because it's doing this, I think. Generate initialized array, and then we do create idle animation, generate sprite order array, and create animation is doing what? Frame order.length. Frames equals new LOT animation frame, frame order.length. And then frames I minus 1. Frame order. If I is greater than 0, then frames. Okay, so animation frame. We have a duration, frame durations. We have that. Then we are checking if I is greater than 0. If it is, then we say we're checking the start time of the previous frame and its duration. And then we set that to 0. What is the problem? We start at 0 frames. Frame order dot length. If I is less than frame durations dot length. Sprite frames. Frame order I. What's the issue? It looks fine. We might have to... Bro. 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 There. It was hiding. Wait, that was it? Huh? Huh? Why is it so weird? Why is everything in weird places now? Find in files. What the f is all of this? Like, what is the issue here? Like, what? What just happened? Look, why doesn't it come down here? What is wrong? Frames? New LOT animation frame. That wants a start time, an int. Sprite frames. I'm so confused. What is happening? Where's the problem? And then it hops in here and it hops over here. So frame durations has an integer, or it has 8 entries. So in this case, I is 0. So we're accessing that, correct? Sprite frames, is it this? Frame order, that's a 0. So we're accessing sprite frames 0. And then here it checks if I is greater than 0, which it isn't, then we set 0. Right? And frames is 8. It's got 8 animation frames. But we're setting new animation frame. Like, what? Is it this? What is this? It's this. This has 0 in it. So that's why. But where is it fetching create animation? It's here. And so it needs to load the sprites. And so it's actually crashing in east-west here. So we're loading Ria idle. Then we go to create animation, and I think we just need, because we have a frame order. Generate sprite order array. Oh, that's it. Yeah. It's because we're not setting the sprite order. I think. Because this is just setting the order to be in order. But it still shouldn't crash, because we're loading the idle. Like, I'm just trying to load the idle. And it should be in order. Yeah, the path is incorrect. Character sprite sheet data path. I think this should be because I feel so I need to hard code directories here, right? I feel like I'm doing it a little incorrect, but it's kind of hard. So I don't know how to structure it. I don't really have a good idea for how to do it. Like, writing this is fine, graphics data path, right? But it quickly becomes super cumbersome. Because, like, how do I write the folders that are contained within graphics data path? What I've been doing is I've been writing like sprite sheet data path, and then it's graphics data path plus sprite sheets. But I don't know what to name them. Like, should it just be like graphics sprite sheet? And then there we just type sprite sheets. And then when I want to access the sprite sheet, like it. Maybe if I just use like naming convention here instead. Like maybe I just write graphics folder. Do that. And then the graphics data path is just gonna be graphics folder. And then a sprite sheet folder should be sprite sheets, and then the sprite sheet data path should be sprite sheet sprite sheet folder, and graphics folder. And then we have like a entity folder. And then we're just gonna call that entity. And then that name can be reused in different data paths. And same thing with like player folder. That's just gonna be called player. NPC folder. NPC. Please, somebody tell me I'm doing the wrong thing and I need to do it in a better way. Spells. There, right? And we should go, because this is sprite sheets. Entities. Entities. And then I want to change this to be instead of player characters, it should be characters. Player. We pop Ria in there. There, so like the data path to Ria would be sprite sheet entities, characters, player, Ria. And then we can make a public static string called character sprite sheet data path. We already have one down there, but then this should be graphics folder plus sprite sheets folder plus characters folder. And then we can go back here and we can say character sprite sheets data path plus and then we manually type like player. Something like that. That could be okay-ish. But I think this is all just a path issue where it's not entirely just a path issue, because here, create animation, if, and this should be a boolean. I need to use booleans more. If sprite frames is null or sprite frames dot length is less than or equal to 0, then we're gonna say debug.log error attempted create animation, but sprite frames is null or empty. Right? And then we're gonna return. And the reason I said that I should have booleans more is because if this is a bool, then we can return false. And otherwise we can return true, right? And that way we can return true or false all the way back to where the thing was requested. And then we can generate an error that says something when, like, we click the button or whatever. But because I did this, oh, it didn't generate any errors. Yeah, because the boolean is like, you don't actually need to assign it anywhere. Oh. Alright. Let's call it there. All these paths are left, like, super fucked up now, though. Right, so I need to go through these because I think they should be correct though. Like, it's just that it's loading from the wrong... Yeah, like, I've set all these up correctly, it's just the paths are wrong. But yeah. I'm gonna go lie down, because I feel like I've been sitting up and stuff too much for my surgery, so... I might play Path of Exile tonight, but not 100% sure. Either way,